Good evening and happy Sabbath, Covenant Advent Church. And good evening and happy Sabbath to those of you who've joined online. Welcome back to our evening service. And I'll ask you to please turn your hymnals with me to number 538. Hymn number 538, Guide Me, O Thou Great Jehovah, number 538. Turn the service over to Pastor Lloyd Grubb, who will be conducting our study, Den of Lions.
Amen. So we'll be looking at our study this evening, which is a continuation from our study from the week before, which is Den of Lions. And we're just going to keep in that flow. At least this week is Den of Lions. And I'll put this here. I'll unplug this. Okay. So this. I'll put this there. So we are continuing with our study about from Daniel. And again, we're gleaning for our last days because as probably all of you who are here and been watching online, these set of studies I've been doing in the evenings, you're very familiar with these topics. These are not new topics to anyone. So what I'm doing as I'm gleaning for the times that we're living in and the experience as we see a change not only in the world, but in the United States of America. So I want to glean as we look at these topics about Den of Lions. And with that, I'll just start with a short prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, we thank thee again for the blessings of today. We thank you for the blessings of your word. That you may be with us as we study together. May thy grace go with us here, and may thy spirit tabernacle as we learn from thee and from thy word, for Christ's sake. Amen. All right, so Den of Lions is what we're looking at here. All right. And I'm going to ask you a favor tomorrow this time. Just take with you here these things. You can take this too. All right? And then I'll bring to you. Sorry for a second here for one. I'm just going to unravel my audio. Okay, just stand there for a second. Just unhinge this audio. Just take this with you. You can probably just sit. You can sit anywhere at this point, but this thing is long enough. Right? You can just take this. You can. I just want you to monitor, just in case I want to make a comment on the church website. Just monitor that. You still have the audio. Thanks. All right. Next time I grab the computer. So just in case any of you have any comments online on the church website, Mark can monitor that for me. And that makes it easy. And then I guess in the future, we could monitor YouTube, which are the two places we can get comments from. So we're going to start again. On our study this evening, we're looking at take 2 is Den of Lions, right? So Den of Lions is we're looking at Daniel chapter 6. And so, as I say, we're just going to glean some lessons from it. We won't overly belabor the point. Thanks for those who stick around for a little bit. And I was intending to start at 6. So Daniel 6, verse 1 and 2, we started reading. And it says, it pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom, and over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might give account unto them, and the king should suffer no damage. So here, this last phrase there, the king should suffer no damage. Amen? This is how you take care of the business of the kingdom. And this is important because what we have as, I've done studies here and probably in the past and in the future I'll do studies. It's important to consider this thing that any business, any family, any kingdom, any person who is suffering too much loss eventually will crash and burn, will fail. And as I remember, when we study prophecy, we take a very important cue from the pen of inspiration from Ellen G. White's writing, where she says, when we're studying kingdoms or nations in prophecy, we're really studying how individuals also function. An individual that is suffering too much losses will ultimately crash financially. And also if they're suffering other losses, they'll crash spiritually. Any losses you're suffering, if you can't stop those losses, you're going to fail. And often those losses could be caused by, if you're a business, the people we have in management. Because what is a manager there for? To do the work? Is that what the manager there to do the work? What's the manager there for? To make sure that the work is done properly and that the business doesn't suffer loss, because losses eventually take a business down. And all the investments that were put in the business will be lost. Is that the same thing for your family? Yeah. Is that the same thing for you personally? Yes. Right? Is that the same thing for a country? Yes. If the country is suffering too much losses, then sooner or later that's going to take down the country. So all these managers that we have, and this is important now because remember our topic is the Den of Lions. And as you know, the den is what we're talking about is the, would in our situation and in any country would be the rulership of the country. The parliament, if you're in a British system, and in America would be the Congress and the Senate. They're put there to make sure that the country doesn't suffer loss. They're put there to oversee the taxpayer dollar. Because if the taxpayer dollar is being wasted, whose money is being wasted is the country. So the king is supposed to be able to put the best people in power. Is that true? The people who are going to be most moral, honest, and whatever. But we're in a system that the president don't per se put everybody in power. The president puts some people in power, but many people goes in power because the people put them in power. The people vote for them. If you're not voting for honest people, you're going to suffer loss. This is significant. So, in Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 10, Ecclesiastes 9, verse 10, it says, whatsoever thy hands find to do, do it with thy might. For there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave whither thou goest. So, when we have, like this morning I was talking to you and I said to you that it's important that you don't run with idle people, because idle people will encourage you to do what? To be idle, right? If you're busy working and somebody's just like chilling, what are you going to be thinking? I'm putting in too much effort, right? I'm putting in too much effort. And we see so many people now that they were so idle and wasting time, and now they're getting old. And what happened? There's no money there. They have no money. They have nothing to fall back. So now is the time to work. And I'm going to say that especially when you're in your more youthful years. If you're looking and start talking about in your late 50s, going into your 60s, talking about retirement and stuff like that, your time is running out. Unless you're going to do some serious juicing and herbs to keep your body going, you're in trouble, right? You're in trouble. You do it when you have the energy, because we all go into the same place, and that's to the grave. But before we get to the grave, old age is going to mess us up, right? And the biological clock is working. And even for us, those of us who exercise and we do things healthy and so forth, at the end of the day, the body's working against us. And we see that. All of us, the body's working against us. So now is the time. Now is the acceptable time. Everything good? Okay. So Proverbs 7:22, next text on the board there. Not too bright there. We have the sun coming in. Proverbs 22, verse 29 says, "Seest thou a man diligent in his business? He shall stand before kings. He shall not stand before mean men." Now, this is a statement it says of Daniel. Daniel was a man that was put to be the preeminent leader over the three leaders that was over the rest of all the leaders. But Daniel had proved himself that he was very faithful in business. Daniel is the type of business leader that you will go and you say, hey, look, I want this person. If you remember the story of Solomon, that in Solomon's kingdom, Solomon was so good with his leadership that the Queen of Sheba came, and Queen of Sheba said, man, this is good, all these people serving you. They're in a good place. We know in our society today, when you have a very good business and a very good business leader, many people want to join themselves and grow with that business leader because they know the company is going to do excellent. But part of the business leader's ability is to choose the people he has around him. Because if you choose bad people around you, the business is going to suffer loss. That's important for your personal life. Is that true? It's important. I remember years back, I was called up to do a refinance on his home. And when I went there, the wife would give me a call, and she wanted a refi, and she had told me that she had run up about $50,000 in debt. And that's the reason why she wanted to do the refi. And she was explaining to me that what it is, it was buying clothing. So I said, you buy $50,000 worth of clothing? And she said, yeah. I said, how is that possible? And she said, well, what happened? I'm kind of in the business. I'm a clothing manager for a department store. So I really, it's just something I do. So I just got over my head. So she said, okay. So I said, she was handling the business, right? And I said, so your husband is aware of this? And she said, no. So I said, how are we going to do a refinance if he's on the mortgage and stuff and he has to sign? She said, I don't know, but I need to do it, and I don't want him to know that really what we're doing, we're trying to wrap this credit card debt into the mortgage because he doesn't know about it. I said, he doesn't know? How could he not know that you have so much debt? He said he don't know. So, was he paying attention? No, he wasn't paying attention. How could she run that much debt, buy that much clothes? Didn't he notice that the clothes were coming in the house and leaving? Because most of those clothes ended up at Salvation Army. Because I'm sure she was just like donating them away. You know, we're probably one time donated. So and that's why I say it's important, because what we glean from these things, we don't want to miss, and we don't want to do what most people do. They just teach us as a historical lesson. I want you to understand, when you're studying about what Darius did, why I said Nebuchadnezzar, he said Daniel over the other men. He did it because he did not want to suffer any damage. He didn't want to suffer any loss. And you have to know that if you're not over the business, your finances, over what's going on in your home and so forth, you're going to suffer some loss that you're going to regret not doing this. And here, this is a kingdom, and that's even more complex. right? So it's important to note this, that we got to get this thing and we got to get this thing clear. You got to know what's happening in your own very house. You got to know what's happening with your electric bill. I should think that if there's a $20 increase in your electric bill, you should know why. As little as $20. You should be able to look and say, wait, last year I was getting an electric bill for $90 and this year I'm getting for $110. Something went wrong. Because you're suffering loss. You need to know, because something could be going wrong with an equipment in your house. You know, they don't have equipment per se, but we call it whatever. And you need to know. And somebody to give an answer. And if you think about it, I feel like although there's many people in our country very happy right now with the way the country is running, I think the country is leaderless right now. And if the country is leaderless, it's suffering out the loss because somebody's not watching the money. Because we're embroiled in too much conspiracy and whatever. Notice here in Romans chapter 12, verse 11. Romans 12, verse 11 says, not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. From our study of Daniel, would we say this is Daniel's business? That's the way Daniel does business? Yeah, Daniel is not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. Now, this is important again. Because when you look at Daniel, Daniel was put over the business because Daniel has a history of being diligent in business. Daniel was diligent in business from a young person. Notice here, this is important to teach young people. Because Daniel, when it was time for Daniel to be successful as a child doing business, a teenager, Daniel's business was schooling. You know, if a young person said to me that they want to do business, they want to become an entrepreneur, I say your first entrepreneurial endeavor is to get A's and B's as a fallback plan. And you're going to prove yourself by taking care of the school business, right? And one thing I've learned that I could say to any young person that I've learned that is very important in business and doing any type of business, it don't matter if it's religious business or just for-profit business, is that there's parts of the business that you're not going to like doing. But it's important for you to recognize that and learn to just do it. Because there's some people who say, I don't like counting peas or beans. I'm not a bean counter. And you know, for the rest of their life, they're going to say they don't like doing it and it's going to cost them dearly. Right? Because they don't want to count beans. It's important for you to know what you're weak at and learn it. Now, you might not be perfect at it and you might have to outsource it to somebody else. But you need to be good at it. You need to know what you're good at, get better at it, and what you don't like doing, do it. So here, 3 quick points again. The Bible says, whatever thy hand finds to do, do it all in might. We saw Daniel history that he always did that. We see here again in Proverbs that it says here that a person who is diligent at business will not stand before me. When we see Daniel fulfill this text, Daniel was a person that was diligent. And also, it says you're not to be slothful in business, but fervent in spirit, and do it as you're serving the Lord. Daniel was this person, right? And we look to emulate Daniel, to be like Daniel in business, not just in any private business we're doing, any job we're doing, but also in the church business. I say this also because this is a spirit that is lacking in so many places. So many times I see why there's no progress is because this attitude and spirit has been lost from the church and been lost from the community. And because of this, damage gets suffered. The church suffered damage. The people suffer damage because the person is not taking care of the business. So we need to take care of the business. So the importance to have sound judgment, important here. We can't underestimate how important. I'm pause here a little bit again because I can't ignore this. In our families, as I say, are you watching the money in your family? That you don't suffer loss. In your personal self, are you taking care of your body that you don't suffer loss? Because we know Daniel did all of this, right? In church, are you taking care of the business that you don't suffer loss? We don't need to suffer unnecessary loss. Because me and Greg were, talking earlier as we were having a discussion together after lunch. And we're talking about how sometimes we could buy even a piece of equipment. We're talking about weed whackers, right? And that's not what the conversation per se was about, but the idea here what we're communicating that you could buy like a cheap piece of equipment. And it's cheaper, you spend less money, but in the long term, you lose money because the equipment doesn't last you and you gotta go back and buy another. And then when you calculate, okay, I buy something for $150. The expensive one is $300. I buy a cheap one for $150. 3 years, 4 or 5 years later, I have to buy another cheap one for $150. I'm at $300. It would have been better for me just to buy a $300 one. And then have it for 10, 15 years. It's not worth spending that less money in most situations. Some situation is a reason why somebody said this thing is value more. And so in all of our lives, these principles that we study in prophecy, as I say, I'm just gleaning from this because you know the story, but I'll still tell you the story of Daniel 6, is that there's lessons that we can learn for life. And we want to be able to know how to do good business, because I'm going to tell you, when you look back even at just a span of, say, 10 years, and you look at certain decisions you make, and you say, I could have made a better decision. And you see the loss that you suffer, you realize it was not worth it. The loss, the headache, the inconvenience, the stress, it's not worth it. Sometimes it's worth holding back. Sometimes don't do nothing, and then when you do it the right way. Sometimes it's better waiting a year to do it the right way than do it right now and don't do it the right way. And it is the same way in anything. And I'm learning some of these lessons and learning them not the way that the Lord would have me learn them, but I'm learning them the hard way, not the good way. Lord don't want us to learn the hard way. Lord wants us, I just say, the first time the rock is struck, the second time you speak to the rock, right? Some of us, we want like the Lord to beat us in our head all the time. And we hard-headed. And that's not God method. God method is like, you go the rough way, but after a while you learn. I need to go the easy way. Well, in Daniel chapter 6, verse 3 and 4, then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm. Then the president and the princes sought to find an occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could find none occasion nor fault, for much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him. My first impression of Daniel when I studied Daniel was, I think about Daniel seemed to me like a person that instead of blood was running through his vein, it was water. He had a clean head. There was no dishonesty, guile. That's why he come across as a straight shooter. He's going to take care of the business. You don't have to bribe him. You don't have to do any of that stuff. He's just going to do the business. This text here summarizes that idea that when he was scrutinized by the chief men in the kingdom, the best men in the kingdom, so he's not being scrutinized by the regular people. He's being scrutinized by lawyers, doctors, career politicians, career whatever. The top people in the country. What was their conclusion about him and his business, how he dealt with the kingdom? No fault. Right? When they look at him, it's like, no fault. So remember, these people were put in, all the leaders were put so that the king suffered no loss. It's a big kingdom, big operation, no loss. When they analyze, when they say, well, they find occasion because they didn't like the fact that he got promoted, it's important for you to know that when you get promoted, what's going to happen? What people are going to do when you get promoted? They're going to find occasion, right? If you watch Covenant Advent Church, or you are a member of Covenant Advent Church, you will get promoted. Amen? Amen. Right? Because you're learning how to be what? A leader. You're learning how to lead and to get promoted. Because you're going to be diligent in business. While everybody is like hanging around with vain people, you're going to make that money. Amen? And you're going to develop the mindset to lead, because that's what we hear about. All right? Because we don't just believe in the theory of the Bible, we believe in the practicality. priests, and kings. Amen? So, here Daniel now is there, and the princes and presidents try to find occasion concerning the kingdom. So what they wanted to do, make it seem like he was not for the kingdom. Right? Now think about it. Our message in the last days is to tell the religious and secular people in the United States not to overturn the Constitution. That's our primary message. Although that's locked in the Sabbath and all that. But you understand what I'm saying? Our primary message, when you distill it down, is that we want to preserve America the way it is on the paper by the Constitution. Is that so? Do you see it like that? It's not normally the way you hear it, but that's just the way I think about when I think about it. Our primary thing is to not make America crash and fail. Because if America overturns the Constitution, we believe that it's going to not be America anymore. So we don't want America to suffer loss. Is that true? Yes. Amen. You will say that? Amen. So, but somebody's going to try to make it seem like we are against what? When we preach? Against the country. But they're not going to be able to prove that because we are really trying to preserve the country, because sin is a reproach to the people, but righteousness exalts the nation. And we're trying to keep the country in the right way. They're trying to get the country to sin. So think about this now. The president and the king sought occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom. They want to make it seem like Daniel was going to hurt the kingdom, and they're going to be patriotic, and they're going to protect the kingdom. Right? But when they try to find occasion, they could find what? None. Because Daniel was about what? Benefiting the kingdom, right? You see how important that is? If it's for Daniel alone, the kingdom will be successful. Right? But those guys, they're not into that. They're not worried about the kingdom really. What they're worried about is just they want a job. But they're not really for the kingdom. And what they're going to do is cause so much controversy in the name of the kingdom, but really is to go after Daniel. And when you keep that in mind, what's going on? Because think about what's important and how that's such powerful present truth for what's going on right now. Although they're saying they're trying to make America great, all of what they're doing, is it really building up the country? No. Is it putting people back to work? No. No. See, is it going to protect the Constitution? The moves they're making, to me, is to destroy the Constitution. You see? You see the difference there? All right, don't want to overglean. So, notice, but they could find none occasion nor fault. For as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him. They couldn't touch him when they come on to error or fault. And he was very faithful. This is what we want to do. You need now to glean a little bit here. You need to make sure that says when it come on to taking care of your body, right, there's no error or fault found in you. Amen. That's a high watermark. Because sometimes we hurt our own self. Right? We do things against our own bodies. But God wants us to take care of ourselves. Because guess what happened? You got to take care of yourself. Amen? You got to take care of yourself. The other thing also, when it comes on to your own finances, you got to take care of your own finances. Look, if people are trying to tax you and unnecessarily to fight wars and stuff that is immoral, people are trying to tax you to give money away to able-bodied people. There's a lot of people to me that are on the poor rolls that shouldn't be on there because they're able-bodied. You're being charged all kind of rate in the bank. You know the banks make most of the money off fees, not even off interest. Because it's just easy for them to hit you with a $35 fee for nothing, right? You know, all these type of, we call it, service charge. Yeah. And when you look at the numbers every year, like, it's marvelous the amount of money that is made by the bank from fees. And so many of those fees, I tell people, if you owe money or you're late or whatever, pick your phone up when they call you. And if they don't call you, you pick your phone up and call them. And you say to them, can you remove that fee off my account? You know what they're going to say to you? Yes or no. And you'll be surprised many times. Guess what they're going to say to you? Yeah. But if you don't make that call, the call was never made. I tell people you gotta face your bills. You gotta be on top of it. I don't believe that it's possible that Daniel never made a mistake. It was like computer accurate. Computer make mistakes. But what I believe is that when you're diligent, you often will catch the mistake. You'll find your mistake. I've learned even when I'm writing even a short paragraph, I read it a second time. And I'm sometimes amazed at how words disappeared in the first time I wrote it. I don't know where the words went because I'm sure I wrote the word. And a D or a R or a at disappeared, and I read it a second time. I'm like, where did that word go? Right? What diligence is not necessarily that you're perfect, but it's that you're going to be checking and double check. There's always a principle. You measure twice and cut once. You ever hear that principle? You measure twice and cut once. Now somebody will say, is that perfection? That's not perfection, that's diligence. Yes. Diligence is you're certain it's 5 feet, you measure again a second time. And when you measure a second time, what it is, you'll catch errors. And so it's hard for somebody to get you on stuff because you're double checking it. I've learned over the years of even doing church that a lot of the works I did in the beginning, now I have to be doing it again. Because what happened in the beginning, you're like, I got to do this, I got to do that, and you're losing sleep. And I'm telling you, when you're tired and you're not sleeping, you make a lot of mistakes. Because what happened, you don't get no sleep. And so I've learned it's sometimes better to take longer to do the same work and to cover my bases and to be more diligent than to rush and make mistakes. And then have to go clean it up 6, 4, 7, 8 months, whatever later, I'm still cleaning up stuff. In everything. So notice here now, what's driving all this? They were jealous and they envied Daniel, right? Because Daniel was rewarded for good labor. And they wanted to cause harm to Daniel. If they cause harm to Daniel, who they harming? The kingdom. So who was going to cause loss to the kingdom by damaging Daniel? Them. Because Daniel was so good that Daniel would be a loss to the kingdom. Brothers, I don't know if you get what that. Huh? When there's good people and you get rid of good people, you cause harm. There's people right now in your companies that whoever you're watching me or whatever company you work for, that if they get fired this week coming, it would actually cause the business to go up. Yes, that's true. But when you're diligent at your labor, if you get fired, it's going to cause the business to go down. They have proven so many times in companies that often when a visionary or a very integral person in the company dies or move on, the company takes a financial hit or even crash and loses business because they couldn't see. If you think about even the revolutionary change that's happened with the digital media, that there's how many churches and ministries and big-time organizations never saw the change coming. But the change was so obvious. Think about Review and Herald, close. Review and Herald was at the time of Ellen G. White, they closed because they couldn't see the digital age coming. But it was like a molasses. You ever see molasses? It just goes slow. It was moving because molasses will pour on you. But it's not pouring like water. Right? You kind of have to, and yet they could not see it and they basically had to close. Because they could not make the switch. Instead of taking some of the money we're making on print and move it to the digital age, they sat there like snails or like a frog in a pot and got cooked. And they made the kingdom, if you want to call it like that, suffer loss, right? So we can't be like that. We got to say, I see what's coming and I need to make a move on what's coming. As a matter of fact, one of the things that kind of distract me even in ministry a little bit because I saw something happen in the media in the digital age and I say, I need to do it. And I start calling around, I start investigating, I start, because I don't know programming to that level. I know, the websites that we have, I put the websites together and stuff. And for a few months there in the beginning of the year, I was like, probably in the springtime, I was like, I'm going to learn programming to do this thing. And I'm looking at it and I committed, I said, I'm going to learn programming. I said, I'll learn it by September, October, I'm going to learn it. And then I gave up, I said, I'm not going to do this. Because I started calling some people who do programming, they say, that thing is cutting edge And if you want this, it could cost you, somebody said, one company quote me like $500 a month plus, I think $2,000 I have to pay. I was like, man, that's a lot of money. I was like, I don't know if this thing is getting bigger, but I wanted to ride that wave. And I decided, I think the numbers need to come down a bit more before, as a church, we could invest in that type of thing. Because that's a lot of money per month. I was like, what? That's a lot of money. But I would say I'm going to program it myself then. And then I said, let's get back to what I was doing. This is too much. But you got to see yourself coming. So if you notice here, Daniel, when they hurt Daniel, they were going to hurt the kingdom. Right? They were going to hurt the kingdom. And where were we? We were in Newton. The town near to us, right? And we were there at 10 something at night, 11 something. This last month, we were off, me and tomorrow we're in Newton almost how many nights for like late at night. And at late at night, I was surprised the amount of Hispanic people was in Newton, right? So I keep on seeing all this Hispanic, and I see whites there also, but a lot of Hispanics, I was thinking. And I was thinking about it, I said, wow, you can imagine if you grab all these people. I said to my wife, I said, if you could grab all this Hispanic in that town, in Newton, because you don't see them that much, because the data you see primarily a mixed, but primary whites. But in the evening, they're there milling about, going about, doing their thing. When I say even, I mean 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. One time probably even 12, right? They were still out and about. And I would say, wow. I said, tomorrow, if you grab, just say everybody we've seen here are illegals, and you grab every single one of them and deport them, would that make America great? What would happen? I have the idea what would happen, but what would happen? Think about it. What would happen? If you just grab everybody in that area, in the downtown area, just deport them. Tomorrow, you probably, because I said I think what would happen. Go ahead.
No, I'd say in the first place, the housing market would take a hit there.
The housing market take a hit. That whole downtown section with all those renters would all become vacant. It would implode. It would implode the housing market. I said, think about it, because normally as a shift, you have the people who came in whatever wave, they will live in that downtown section. Then their kids went to school, they make a little money, do some business, make a little money, they move out to the downtown section. It becomes empty, the new wave comes in, they rent, they go through the same process, they work hard, they make a little money, their kids go to school, they start to have a decent jobs, they move out and another wave come. Just imagine now, they're trying to build back that downtown section, and you just come and just arrest everybody, take all these renters, and just throw them back to Central America, South, Mexico and all that place. And then now they just implode the downtown area. And then somebody say, yeah, we made America great again. You see the problem? Some people say, yeah, we clean up the garbage out of America. You see, very important. So that's why I'm noticing, I'm saying here, it could seem like, because I better know all these guys now, because they don't know how Daniel chapter 6 ends. They were saying, we're gonna build back Iran, Medes and the Persians, right? Modern day Iran. How are we going to do it? We're going to get rid of this guy, Daniel. What was this guy Daniel doing for the kingdom? He was building up the kingdom. What they were busy doing? Being jealous and envying. And all the action was based upon jealousy and envy, because others were coming in and they were probably foreigners. Because probably most of these guys were Iranian, Medes and Persian. And who was Daniel? A Jew, Hebrew. So he's like, he's not one of us. You can see the problem there. Proverbs chapter 14, verse 30. Proverbs 14, verse 30 says, a sound heart is the life of the flesh, but envy, the rottenness of the bones. Envy is what? Rottenness of the bones. You cannot build a country. You will destroy a country by trying to build it on hate for poor people. Right? Cannot. You just can't. It's rottenness to the bones. Because you're not busy trying to put people back to work. You're busy trying to pit one group against the other. I hate people who are coming in working hard. You cannot do that. And so when you can see how a nation become, because now the nation was going to suffer loss. Because think about all these men in leadership, their focal point is to hate for Daniel. You can imagine all these leaders. You could have a situation where all the leaders could come to a point they're so bitter against somebody because he's faithful in what he's doing. And this is going to happen because prophecy predicted it will happen. They will hate the righteous and think they're doing God a favor. Mark chapter 15, verse 10 and 11. Mark 15, verse 10 and 11. Says, for he knew that the chief priests had delivered him for envy. But the chief priests moved the people that he should rather release Barabbas unto them. So if you notice here, the chief priests was doing whatever they're going to do against Christ. Why? For envy. Why they envy Christ? His preaching, his ministry. And then I say, although his ministry was not the big edifice ministry, his ministry was very organized, very successful. He blessed the people. So the chief priests hated that. Because think about the chief priests, even in our modern day time. What are they doing for the people? Nothing. They're managing the institutions, but they're managing it to the ground. They have the big churches, but what are they doing for the people are a mess. So Christ comes along blessing the people, and they say he got to go because Christ is making them look bad. You see the problem? That's the problem. Amen. So jealousy was the reason why these men in leadership was trying to destroy, just checking my phone here, to try to destroy Daniel. So we're going to read a few verses here concerning the law is law now, concerning the law of his Lord. Daniel chapter 6, verse 5 through 9. Daniel 6, verse 5 through 9 says, then said these men, we shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find against him concerning the law of his God. Is that true? Right? Can somebody find occasion against us except this again? It's the same thing. Isn't that the reason, that the issue? Somebody will be like, yeah, you can't really say anything against him. But they're serious about their God. Or they're serious about their veggies. Anyhow, so, but that's the reality. That should be the reality though, right? Somebody going to dislike you, just dislike you because, you know, you believe in God and you're religious and all that. So they realized in business they couldn't touch Daniel. In fervency, they couldn't touch that. He was fervent about his business. But they knew, we know something that he's consistently, you know, our religion and his religion is no different, is no match. And it's the same thing for us. The national religion of America, we in it now have no agreement. We don't believe in once saved, always saved. We don't believe in any jingoism. We don't believe in any patriotic fervor where we pit poor people and minorities and foreigners against each other. We don't believe in none of that stuff. We don't believe in American national religion. We're not Baptist or Methodist or none of that stuff. And we're not even mainline Seventh Adventists. So we ain't nothing to do with the mainline religions of America. Verse 6 says, then these presidents and princes assembled together to the king and said unto him, King Darius live forever. All the presidents all the presidents of the king, the governors, the princes, the counselors, the captains have consulted together to establish a royal statute and to make a firm decree that whosoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save of thee, O king, he shall be cast into the dens of lions, right? So this is why I entitled this topic, The Den of Lions, because these men were the den of lions. Think about it. This is the leadership of the country. It's conspiring, doing all this and saying all this, but the one aim is they're doing out of jealousy and they're doing to destroy Daniel. Let nobody fool you. You remember there's a protest going on last year about this NFL player and about their kneeling, and they're saying, oh, we're protesting because they're disrespecting the anthem. No make ghosts fool you. When you read the comments, especially online, I don't know if all the comments online are Russian trolls. They keep talking about, oh, but they're millionaires. I always say, why do you always mention they're millionaires? Like, make your statement, protect your country and the fervor for your country, but why you have to mention that they're millionaires? What's the point of that? That sounds like some jealousy business going on. Why these millionaires disrespecting the countries? America made them, make them be able to live a certain lifestyle. Yeah, but what's wrong with a person saying, I don't like the idea that unarmed black men keep getting shot at high rates, right? Isn't America built upon the idea of protesting the British monarchy and tyranny? Man, I don't even into the NFL or any of these sports. But just the idea that somebody's protesting somebody being murdered, and you don't think that's right because they're multimillionaires, that sounds suspect to me. That is jealousy is running all of that. Everything just keep being jealousy. Oh, they're coming taking our jobs. Yeah. The Indian doctors are taking your jobs. See, I have a problem with some of that stuff. Because somebody say, you have access to grant. Yeah, I have access to grant. Because if you didn't go to school and you don't become a doctor, you expect to get a job. Right? It doesn't make no sense. And so, and why I'm saying is because somebody say, but so many people would do this and do this over jealousy. Read the story. Let me read it again. All the presidents of the kingdom, the governor, the princes, the counselor, the captain, had consulted together. They talked about, you think Daniel was in this discussion? No. Right? Daniel wasn't in this discussion. One day somebody called me and said, Lord, you noticed there was a train going to a Republican retreat and it crashed, or somebody got shot in it. You remember that? And somebody said, Lord, we think they were going. What were they going to plan? See, sometimes we don't know what God is saving us because the Bible says the Lord will hold back the winds of strife. But the things that people will do, you can never imagine because people are wicked. And jealousy will drive them to do things. And then what happened, the same group of people that crashed on that train, if you remember last year or this year sometime when they had that Republican retreat, and the train either crashed or somebody shot somebody in the train or something, it was the same group of guys they were doing a basketball practice, baseball practice, and somebody shot them up. Some of the same guys again, on the same train again, and they got crashed again. And I said, I wonder what these evildoers were going to do. And I said, I really don't know. I say only God knows what's going on in the back because only God protects our backs from what these guys are going to do. Because remember, they're backed by the council. Because people say, no, why is it so important for you in a church setting? Because they're backed by the mega churches of America. They're backed by the Southern Baptist Church that gave us slavery, Jim Crow law, and we don't know what they're planning. We know what the Bible tells us they're going to do in the end. They will join with the Catholic Church. They will lead the Catholic Church and paganism, or heathenism, or spiritualism to try to persecute the righteous. So we don't know what these kind of Adolf Hitler types are planning. But they're planning. I know they're working on something, but I think things keep throwing the monkey wrench, which is a black man that invented, throwing a wrench in their in their plan. So we'll see. But notice here, this story is very important for us to watch what's happening because we know the prophecy will happen. We know the prophecy says the conservatives will do it, and we see them they don't have no problem locking up babies. If they have a problem with this, we don't know what next step they're planning. Now, verse 8 says, Now, O king, establish the decree and sign the writing that it may not change, according to the laws of the Medes and the Persian, which alter not. Wherefore King Darius signed the writing and the decree. So you notice, he flattered the king. He tell the king, oh yeah, you're doing this for this reason. Don't we hear this type of language today? Yeah, we hear this type of language today, and they fool up the king, telling him, oh yeah, you're doing this to make America good. We go, and you start checking out, who is that person talking? And counseling, but you're right, oh, he's a mega church pastor. And you say, oh, it's these pastors that are backing him and telling him to do these things. See, we watch that. And I say this with caveat because by God, if I overglean, you can comment and tell me if I'm overglean. I'm pulling too much. And I always apologize here and back up if it can be showing me. But I'm watching the voice, and I'm hearing this, especially in the line of prophecy. And I'm seeing. Now, here, I put at the bottom of the text, I won't go there because you're familiar with it, at the bottom of the board, Exodus chapter 20, verse 3 to 11. Now, in Exodus chapter 23, verse 3 to 11, why do Exodus 20, verse 3 to 11? Exodus 20 is the 10th commandment. Now, what they're going to get Daniel on is that Daniel prayer life and worship life. It's not Daniel moral life because Daniel is honest. He's not a dishonest person. He's going to do his. So this is not what they couldn't get him on that. So that was going to steal. He was going to be covetous. That wasn't Daniel. What they were going to get him on is his worship to God, his faithfulness to God. So when he was signing the thing, he didn't understand what he signed. Do you understand why that's important? Because remember in the prophecy in Revelation 13, 11 through 18, it says America will basically change itself. It will overturn, as Ellen G. White says, Constitution. But they will do it to protect America. That's what they're thinking. They're thinking, oh, we're doing it because we flag-loving, faithful Americans. But what will end up happening, they'll overturn the Constitution, and actually that's the act to destroy America. See, what he signed right there was going to cause problems. But he didn't know, because if you persecute Daniel, who else are you going to persecute? Every other Jew. Because now, I'm sure there were other Jews that probably wasn't even familiar with what's going on, that's going to go, and then guess what's going to happen to them? They're going to get persecuted also. And if you take out Daniel, sometimes you know what it is when they say, why you kill a wild animal that attack a person? Because now they have a taste of blood in their mouth. And if you can do it to Daniel, who is the #1 guy, who wouldn't you do it to? Everybody, because everybody is below Daniel, and this is why you always have to watch this thing. If they can do it to, and this is why I find it fascinating, because if you can do it to those people, you could do it to me. You see? You could do it to me. I could be driving on the road, and you pulled me over, and me, because I've done this before. One night I remember me and Tamara was coming from church, and you used to have a little planner. Before they had like smartphone, they used to have these planners where you could write down for the year what your appointments, blah, blah, blah. You remember that, right? And so I had my license in the planner. Why did I have my license in the planner? But I had the planner underneath my seat. Underneath Tamara's seat, sorry. So it was, I don't know if you get kicked out of there or whatever, but I put it under there so if somebody looked in the car, they couldn't see nothing in the car. So I slipped it onto my seat. So I got pulled over coming from church one night. I didn't even get a ticket that night, right? Nothing. Got pulled over, and the police said, license and registration. So I went for No, I reached. I went first get the insurance card in the glove compartment. But I went for the license, and I went on there. And the police backed up and said, don't put your hand on there. Right? He said, don't. He said, so I said, what's the problem? He said, I just need to get my planner. He said, look, don't never do that again. He says that was like spook or scare any police, because you don't know if you're reaching on there to get a gun or something like that. But then I didn't know there was a thing where young black men were getting shot. So for me, it was, okay. It was rudimentary. I just said, okay, I won't do that again. And from it, I learned, don't be reaching for stuff. He said, make sure, I can see your hand, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, we good. Then I started hearing this and thinking, that night the police could have shot me. And what would have happened if he had shot me? They would have searched the car, and they would be realized, oh no, there was just my plan on the thing. And me fool enough not understanding where am I. So when I saw seeing this, I was like, wait a second here now. I could see why somebody could say, wait a minute, if you could do it to him, you could do it to me. But somebody said, but you're not living in the ghetto, and the community I get pulled over is an affluent community at the time, and so forth and so on. I'm like, yeah, sure, I was in a good spot. I was dressed in suit and everything like that. I didn't look criminal, But if you can do it to him, you can do it to me. So if you could do it to Daniel, guess who you can do it to? Anybody else. So that's why people don't understand. You don't ignore the cry of the poor, because when they can do it to the poor, guess what they can do to you? They can do to you too. What does the Bible tell us in Revelation 13 again? It tells us simply Revelation 13 that they will cause rich and poor, free and bond to receive the mark. Is that true? You go to the rich people now and say, hey, look, you need to be careful of this. What are they going to tell you? This can't happen to me. All right? Because why? They're going to think, oh, no, they can't do it to them because they have money. They're on the in. But who were they doing this to? They were doing it to the #2 guy in the kingdom. If you're doing it to the #2 guy in the kingdom, who could you do it to? Could they take out the king himself? They could try. Could they take him out? Oh, yeah. They could knife him. Just like what they do Caesar Augustus. Right? They knifed him. If I see somebody, you doing this to them, you could do it to me. But these people know, they fool themselves thinking, oh no, they won't do it to me because I'm American. They will just do it to this, whatever. Stop being foolish. They will do it to you too. Huh? Oh no, they're just investigating those people and harassing those people. They won't harass me. Really? if you empower people to be animals, they'll be animals to you too. Be careful what you wish for. I've seen people, they empower their children to be monsters. And you know what happened? I remember he's so funny. Look at him cursing all those curse words. And he's 5. And then when he's 15, because he started cursing it to them now. Like, you get your back here. You remember when you were thinking it was a joke, right? No, it's not a joke anymore. Here comes the beatings. Good. Daniel 6, verse 10 through 13. We read some more here as we glean a little bit more. It says, now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house. So Daniel understood what's going on. So did Daniel understand what's going on? Yeah, so I'll pause here a little bit, right? Daniel understood what just happened. Did the king understand what just happened? No, the king didn't understand what was going to happen. The king got duped, right? Yes. So the king don't understand what he's doing. Is that possible? No disrespect to our current president. There's something saying, is it possible that you could sign something you don't know what you're signing? Yes. Yeah, you just somebody tell you, oh yeah, this is great, sign it. And you sign it, but they know what they're doing because they're meeting behind closed doors and manipulating you. And you're thinking, oh yeah, I'm the big guy. I'm Darius, I just signed this thing. And my law never changed. And you're like, oh man, they duped me. See the problem? But Daniel understood what just happened. And we understand what's happening. The average person, they don't understand what happened. They're thinking, oh, this is because this is to make me great again. They don't understand that, no, this is not to make it great again. You're being a fool. These are nefarious, evil men in leadership who is going to bring the country down and bring the wrath of God upon the country. And we see the disasters of the disasters in America. They never end and stop, it seems like now. If the place is not burning down, there's some tornado and wind, something going on. And if that's not happening, there are people trying to shoot each other like pigs in a blanket. No, pigs in a bucket. Fish in a barrel. I'll get it right one day. So, you know, they didn't teach me that when I was young. That's what happened. That's new to me. So notice here, now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and in his window being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knee 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God, as he did aforetime. Then these men assembled and found Daniel praying and making supplication before his God. So they were purpose. They knew exactly what they were doing. You know, all these things have been happening in the last year and something like that. These are planned. These are agenda. We saw the same thing under President Obama. When all this thing was coming on, he was saying, oh yeah, I'm doing this because I want people to love each other. Love is good, right? It was an agenda. This was something well worked out, eh? It was well worked out. This is not, you know, one person can't come up with all these rules and laws, and these are things that all these things were already in think tanks. How are we going to do it? How are we going to get somebody in power to do it, Bob? You know, that's just the reality. And it happened. And so we see the same thing. So when you see these things happen, we have to be intentional enough and studying enough and prayed up enough, as they say, to know that it's going to happen. So when it happened, we're like, yeah, we know this was coming. But as I say, same thing with Obama. It didn't make America better. All he brought was more syphilis, more AIDS, more gonorrhea on the homosexual population. And that's how it's going to happen again. Just more punishment for America. Verse 13 says, then answered they and said before the king, that Daniel, which is of the children of, verse 12. Then they came near and spake before the king concerning the king's decree. Hast thou not signed a decree that every man that shall ask a petition of any god, think how broad that is, any god, or man within 30 days, a whole month, save of thee, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions. The king answered and said, the thing is true, according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which alter it not. So for 30 days, could anybody go to church on Sabbath? Could anybody do worship? No. So even if they didn't get Daniel that day, a whole bunch of Jews were in trouble. That's all I know. Right? Because for 30 old days, you couldn't go and say, remember the Lord said, pray towards Jerusalem. No Jew could have prayed towards Jerusalem. So Daniel got caught that day, but you know, I don't know if that day was Tuesday or Monday or Wednesday or whatever, but we know coming Sabbath, a whole bunch of people was going to be in trouble because basically you couldn't do prayer. You couldn't do no worship service. So that's why I think Daniel did the right thing. Because I think at that point, Daniel probably was just going to make it easier. Because who they were they after? Were they after the rest of the Jews? No, but they were going to get tangled in it also. Daniel said, let's just go and get this over with. That the writing gets signed, that they go home, and then they pray with what? His window open. They came in assembly. Let's see if he's going to pray. And Daniel said, I'm going to take care of the business. Right? We're going to do what we're going to do. That's why sometimes I say what I have to say. Because they realize these evildoers, they want to do what they're going to do. These pastors, they're going to... I was seeing this thing where this pastor preaching, and I said, I'm going to go find a sermon. Because this pastor preaching, talking about how they're going to overcome Iran and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, wow, they're bold. They're just going to just go on TV and preach about overturning this country, overturning that country. That's what they're planning. And I'm like, wow. These guys, they just preach what they have to preach. So guess what? Guess what you have to do? Guess what I have to do? I have to preach what I'm going to preach. They're going to overturn Iran. That's their plan. And that's what they're telling the president to do. I'm going to preach. I said, that's what they're saying. I'm going to say, and then God's going to give it to them. Because where is that in the Bible? They're just doing the devil's business. 13. Then answered they and said before the king, that Daniel wishes of the children of their captivity of Judah. So Daniel is a foreigner, right? Not one of them. Regarded not thee. So Daniel was disrespecting them, the king. You see what I'm saying? Like, he said Daniel, like, that's basically what they said Daniel did. O king, nor decree that thou hast signed, but make this petition 3 times what? A day. Now, did Daniel, possibly Daniel, they had watched Daniel from morning until evening, right? But they probably just know Daniel always pray 3 times a day. So they just say, hey, Daniel pray 3 times a day. We saw him pray 1 time. Hey, let's just say. Are they looking out for the king? No. Are they looking out for the nation? No. Were they going to damage the nation by doing this? Yes. And that's the reality. We got to keep that in mind. We got to keep that in mind because when we look at all this, we look at it and you can't tell these people right now that they're not building America and make it great again. But righteousness exalt a nation, not hate and immorality. In Isaiah chapter 6:20, let me read this one first, sorry. If I could just get there. Psalm 63. It says, O God, Psalm 63, O God, thou art my God, early will I seek thee. My soul thirsteth after thee, my flesh longeth for thee in a dry and thirsty land, where no water is, to see thy power and thy glory, so as I have seen thee in the sanctuary. Because of thy loving kindness is better than life, my lips shall praise thee. When you think about the experience, there was something new I found out when a few years back, not so long. I was in America for many years, and I realized the greatness of America was because of its military. I never knew that. I always thought the greatness of America was because of the blessings of God and the Constitution. And then I saw here Americans tell me, I said, oh, really? And then I started to do flag worship, where it's like this idea, like, you got to respect the, flag. And I'm like, oh, I see. Because in my mind, it was something different, because for me, my blessings coming from the Lord, who made the heaven and the earth. I'm here, not physically here per se, but I'm here in the state of mind that I'm in because of God's blessing. And so all the blessings come back from the Lord. I recognize the contribution of others, but I realize in this earth, things are a little bit more complicated than we try to make them out to be. Amen? Complicated. People say, and I get confused, people say Europeans built America. I say, that's part true. Some people say slaves built America. I say, that's part true. That's not 100% true. Things are a little bit more complicated, in other words. And sometimes people can think about stuff that is just not reasonable. So we want to acknowledge the fact that God blesses us, but we still are committed to the success of the nation we live in. Amen? All right. And that's just how I see it. I don't get aggressive against the nation or against God. I just believe God bless us You know, it's good to be living in a good country with all its good and its bad. Things are life is complicated, eh? So somebody said, Lloyd, what are you rambling about? Let me say it this way to you. I'm here, but some of us, we come here in life in our family, or let's apply it to family, through a lot of mess. Does that make sense? Our family lives are not always straight. Many of our parents were not always straight. But we're here. And somebody could say, well, we need to kiss the boots of our parents. I'm like, not really. I didn't ask to bring myself here. But I'm going to try to respect people and give them the honor, even when they don't deserve it. But we could start making too much of people and things beyond measure. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. And I'm applying to the nation. Sometimes people want you to be licking the boots of the nation and licking the butt, as they say, of people and stuff. And it's like, we just respect people. We're not going to be fanatical and be begging people and groveling at them. And you get the point I'm making. All right, our parents did what they have to do and so forth, and we'll be thankful and respectful. But there's a certain point where, man, come on, stop that foolishness. Get off your knees, as I say, get off your knees and stop the nonsense. You know what I'm saying? It's just give the respect, but there's a certain point where people get too fanatical. And when they get too fanatical, I know they're faking. And if you get what I'm talking about. You have any feedback for me on that? I'll pause here and get the feedback. Because I'll explore this a little bit. Because I think sometimes when I see people with this fake patriotism, I say, come on now, stop with foolishness. It's just too fake. You know? You don't have to give me any feedback, but you know what I'm talking about? It's, because even sometimes we can be too fake when it comes on to our parents. Like it was all lovey-dovey all the time. And, there was no problems. Our parents sometimes didn't beat the daylights out of us or neglect us or off of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you can get to a point where people like, come on, let's stop the fakeness. You know what I'm saying? You give the respect where the respect is due. But it's a certain point where this time, yes, sir, it's just too fake. Let's stop that. It's just give the love and give the respect. But don't get to a point where, in other words, like if my parents, say I have a parent and they bark orders at me and kick me in my buttocks and step in my head, and I must say, oh yes sir, thanks. You know what I'm saying? And that's something I see how people want that fake patriotism, like I owe you something because you're American, and they want to say we build this, and get on my face with that foolishness. Get on my face with that stuff. That's just fake patriotism and fake, and it's the same thing, it's the same thing, like I'll give you a good example in the church. They're like, oh, this is God's true church, so what I must do? I must have the pastor talk to me like I'm a dog because this is God's true church. They must treat me like I'm a nigger, as they say, because that's what I experienced in the church, and I must, oh yes, master, because this is God's true church. I get to hear with this foolishness about your true church business. And that's why I left the corporate church, because they want to treat you like you're nobody because you're in God's true church. You must be so thankful that you're in God's true church. You get that point? Now I know probably online I'm after somebody going to comment to me about it, but I don't deal with that stuff. Like, don't come to me with that type of stuff, because we all sinners in need of grace, like everybody is saying. You ain't no special for me. You go to the toilet just like me. You need food and shelter and just like me. You're not no special. But people like to behave like that. Like, you need to be like, oh, so thankful. And anybody that does that, they're fake. And over the years, me and Tamara, we talk about this. You have these people, they're so fanatical, and they've been whipped and hard beaten, and they've been failed. The kids have turned suicidal, drug addicts, homosexual. They've failed, their marriage broke. And those are the same people that were overly, oh yeah, and it was fake. They weren't real Christians, because they never love and respect human beings. And what I'm saying here, I prefer to err on the side of human beings and institutions, and fake idea of institution, because the same people who would worship the church in a fanatical way, they never love human beings. The same people who would want to lock up kids and treat people of minority and foreigners a terrible way, they don't love human beings. And we have seen, and I always point to more because we talk about this in a private way, we've seen some of these people where they fake this and fake that, and they're overly protective of their community. They are mental, like drugs, they've committed suicide, they're fake. And they're not real. And then I realize, wait a minute, I love the country more than they love the country. I love my parents more than they love their parents. I love my family more than they love their family. But when you listen to them, you think, oh man, these people are so devoted. And I'm going to get it right. I'll explain the thought one day better, because I've been observing them And sometimes these thoughts, I can talk about them for hours for me to get them out. But I'm learning more and more to say it in short order. You hear me say it, somebody could challenge me and say, Lord, what you're saying is wrong. Okay. But one day I'll explain to you, I get what you're saying. I'll give you some concrete example so I can show that. May I tell you, see these people, they're fake. Look at you, think about it. Think about this. Paul Manafort is a more true American and faithful American and patriot American than me. But he was selling out the country to have expensive suits and stuff like that. If you go to the average American right now and say, who is a true American more than me? Paul Manafort and myself, what they would tell me, say. That's what Paul Manafort is a more faithful American. He's a true patriotic, love the American flag. And I say, who was building up America more, me or Paul Manafort? They said, Paul Manafort. Think about that. You know, and that's like, I say, we will revisit this thought because I know there's a lot of people right now who say, you're not true. I'm just like, I'm more true American than many people that are fifth generation American. They've been here from the Civil War. And yet, they're not going to look out for no American because those same people are suicidal. They're killing people. They're robbing the country blind. They're doing all this type of stuff. But guess what? They do it while wrapping themselves in American flag. And they're European stock. Come on now. Come on now. You think, just in case you didn't get this, you think these men were more for the Medes and the Persians than Daniel? Who was more faithful to the country than Daniel? These men or Daniel? But you go now, you say, bring me one of the American heroes who fought in Vietnam and fought in this and fought in that. And you say, who is more faithful to America? And you say, those men are ripping off the country blind. Right? But if you look at it, they say, oh no, they're more patriotic. Why? 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 Look at the laws that they pass. Look how they're running the country. Look at the things they're doing. You're more faithful to America because you're willing to lock up kids in cages? How is that? Oh, because they're doing it on behalf of white people. Why would I want somebody to do something like that on behalf of me? What did they tell you about me? Right? And I want to get, because I want sometimes when you read these texts, you need to get it. These men were true Medes and Persian, and yet they were going to hurt the country. And what was the end of that? Just in case somebody watching me and say, I'm going to sign off right now, because I can't take hearing this, because I love my country. This Italian guy one time contacted me as to worship with him. And he said, Lord, yeah, but, I was saying something similar to this to him. And he said, yeah, but I love my country and I want to save my country. I said, this is not the way to do it. You hating on minorities and poor people and foreigners is not going to save your country. How is that saving your country? How are you hating on me? What am I doing wrong to your country? So you think about this. These men were more patriotic to the Medes and the Persians and the Iranians than Daniel, a foreigner. The foreigner was more faithful to his country. Because what happened, Darius says, this guy here, I'm going to put him at the head. Because I'm not going to suffer any loss. These are jokers, I'm going to suffer all kind of loss. Amen. Daniel chapter 6 verse 14 says, then the king, when he heard these words, was sore displeased with himself. Did he make a mistake? Yeah. You can imagine him like, oh man, what did I just do? What did I just do? I just basically mess up worship in the weekend. Because church was, think about no other religion. This is why one of the institutions of church I always love find out what they're doing is the religious liberty department. Because what it is that they realize, and they know it for years now, that you have to protect even the Muslims. Because if you start doing burqa bans and all these type of bans, you can start banning me too. You see the problem? But if you're looking in what's happening here, let's just go back to this. I was going to go off another thought. Is that the moment you hit Daniel, you hit everybody else. And think about a kingdom like this. Would there be other religions? Eh? There would be other religions. It wouldn't be just Jew. They were conquering from all types. You can imagine India. When India hear this rule, for 30 days, they could just kill every Indian. And lock them up and throw them in a den. Keep going here. And he set his heart on Daniel to deliver him. And he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him. Is that possible? Was it going to happen? No. This law went into effect. Daniel was in trouble. Daniel was going to go into the den. And it's important for us to understand that. And this is one of the false teaching that they have in Adventism, when they teach this thing where, When they overturn the Constitution, there'll be time and there'll be this and there'll be that. Look, the law goes into effect, it goes into effect. And immediately the law has teeth. Verse 15 says, Then these men assembled unto the king and said unto the king, Know, O king, that the law of the Medes and the Persian is that no decree nor statute which the king established may be changed. So this rule was above the king. The king couldn't do anything with this rule. This rule was gonna hit the king, and as this rule hit the king couldn't do anything. 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 5 and 6 says, Moreover, thou knowest that Joab the son of Zeruiah did to me, and that he did to the two captains of the host of Israel, unto Abner the son of Ner, unto Amasa the son of Jether, whom he slew, and shed the blood of war in peace, and put the blood of war upon his girdle that was about his loin, and in his shoes that were on his feet. Do therefore according to thy wisdom, and let his forehead go to the grave, not go to the grave in peace. So this is a famous story I wanted to quote here of David. David ran into a similar situation. Joab, his right-hand man, was working to shed innocent blood. Was Daniel going to be innocent in this situation? Was Daniel going to die an innocent man if God didn't deliver him? Did Daniel do anything to deserve this? No. Daniel wasn't hurting the kingdom. This was just the wickedness and jealousy of the men. So you can imagine the king labored to try to secure Daniel, and he couldn't deliver Daniel. Problem, trouble. And it's trouble coming because we see these men, these conservatives, they're working to put laws in place to hurt the least fortunate, the least amongst us. It's coming our way. Just give it time. Daniel chapter 6, verse 16 through 18. Daniel chapter 6, verse 16 through 18. Then the king commanded that they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, Thy God whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee. And a stone was brought and laid upon the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet and the signet of his lords, and the purpose might be changed concerning that the purpose might not be changed concerning Daniel. So they sealed Daniel in the den. Then the king went to his palace and passed the night fasting. Neither were instruments of music brought before him, and his sleep went from him. So this was a problem, huge problem. Daniel was not going to be delivered. And there was no deliverance coming from Daniel, from the king, I should say. The king was not going to be able to deliver Daniel. And we know in the future, when this decree goes up against us, we will be running into the similar situation. There will be no deliverance for us. Only God can deliver us. And that's important for us to note. Is the similar idea here when we talk about the story of Jesus. And in Matthew 27, verse 59 through 66, again, Daniel was put in a situation because, just think about this, because you know where this ends. These men that did this, wicked, right? Wicked. At this point here, could they say, hey, look, we made a mistake, right? Or we didn't do right. They wanted Daniel dead. It's important to understand this because I think a lot of people don't understand what's coming up in the nation because it's being couched in the language of patriotism. And somebody might hear me and think, Lord, why you harping on this? Because it's being couched in the language for the kingdom. But the actions of these people are wicked. But people are not seeing the wickedness. What they're seeing is, they're doing it for us because they want us to have a job. I don't want nobody to have a job at the expense, for me, at that level. Don't lock up no kids in no cage for benefit me. So you watch that. Dangerous, these people. They're murderers. That's how I say, evil people. But most people say, what are you talking about? These people, they just do it because they love America. Really? They ain't loving America. That's not loving America. So in Daniel chapter 27, verse 59 through 66, and it says here, And Joseph had taken the body he wrapped in a clean linen, and laid it in his own tomb, or new tomb, which he had hewn out of the rock. And he rolled a great stone over the door of the sepulchre and departed. And there Mary Magdalene and the other Mary sitting over against the sepulchre. Now the next day, the following day of the preparation, the chief priests and the Pharisees came together unto Pilate, saying, Sir, we remember that the deceiver said, while he was yet alive, after 3 days I will rise again. Command therefore that the sepulchre be made sure until the 3rd day, lest his disciples come by night and steal him away, and say unto the people, He is risen from the dead. So the last error shall be worse than the first. Pilate said unto them, Ye have a watch. Go your way, make it as sure as you can. So they went and made the sepulchre sure, sealing the stone and setting a what? A watch. God bless you. Setting a watch. So notice here, they seal the sepulchre, they set a watch over the sepulchre. Similar thing here happened to Daniel, where they seal the tomb, they set a watch over the tomb, and that it was in the view of everybody. So that means this is secure. This is a thing that's going to go into effect. The result is secure. That means there's no, you can't fake it. Because what's going to happen next, as you know the story, is that it's important that it was secure, that there was no question, that the animals didn't eat Daniel. We know that Daniel was in the cave. Daniel was going to get eaten by the lions. It was a secure story. It's important. And so it is for these things. I remember back in the past, they would say these things like, oh, the national son-in-law is going to happen in stealth. No, it's not going to happen in stealth, because if it happens in stealth, then people could misinterpret what happened. It needs to happen so clear that whoever have ears to ears and eyes to see will have a testimony. Daniel chapter 6, verse 19 through 23. Then the king arose very early in the morning and went in haste unto the den of lions. And when he had come to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice unto Daniel. And the king spake and said to Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, is thy God, whom thou servest continually, able to deliver thee from the lions? Then said Daniel unto the king, O king, live forever. My God hath sent his angel and hath shut the lion's mouth, that they have not hurt me. For as much as before him innocency was found in me, and also before thee, O king, have I done no hurt. So Daniel says, look, I didn't do no hurt. I didn't cause no pain. I didn't do anything wrong to be in this, that. What did Daniel do wrong? He didn't really break no law. How is praying, right, hurting the kingdom and causing the kingdom to suffer loss? How is praying going to hurt the kingdom? It doesn't. Why are you going to pass a law to make praying an offense? You're just wicked. Verse 23. Then was the king exceedingly glad for him, and commanded that they should take Daniel up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no manner of hurt was found upon him, because he believed in his God. Ecclesiastes 9 verse 5 and 6 says, For the living know that they shall die, but the dead know not anything. Neither is there any more reward or memory of, and their memory is forgotten. As also their love, their hatred, their envy is now perished. Neither is any more portion of anything that is done under the sun. Daniel did not perish. Amen? Daniel, it wasn't a spirit talking. Daniel was not talking as a ghost. It was literally Daniel. They took him up out. I was thinking if they were taking him up out and his bottom part was chewed off and his top part was still on, and that's where he was talking from. It was the whole Daniel that came up out of the den. Daniel got a sweet deliverance. Amen? And Daniel was not dead. Now, Daniel chapter 6, verse 24. Daniel 6, verse 24, as we're about to close out here. And the king commanded, and they brought those men which had accused Daniel, and they cast them into the den of lions. Them, their what? children, and what? Their wives. And the lions had mastery of them, and break all their bones in pieces, or ever they came at the bottom of the den. So before we finish there, it says that they went down into the den and they got eaten before they hit the ground. Now remember, the Lord put the lions on a fast that night. Amen. For a whole night they saw food and they didn't eat food. I'm imagining in the morning they were probably quite upset. The Holy Spirit restrained them. I don't think the Holy Spirit take away their hunger per se. The Holy Spirit, I'll probably remind them of their hunger in the morning, like back on now. back to regular programming. And now the real man has been all night and we didn't even feed us because they were supposed to feed us Daniel. So in the morning now, they just ate these men, ate their kids, ate their wives. Everybody died. That's a sad part of the thing that many people say, you know, why should the kids, I guess, the question is always, I guess, asked is why should the kids die? If Daniel had died, would the kids get the benefit of the death of Daniel? And so that's the sad thing about children. The children, they rise with us and they fall with us. You do good, your children get blessed. You do bad, your children get cursed. Isn't that a sad reality? But it just so happened, and we see it over time. People talk about generational curse upon a certain family. But you realize also we tend to talk less about the blessings upon a family. That your righteousness becomes a blessing to your children. Many parents have learned that through their prayers and their faithfulness, that their kids became saved as adults. And so, just remember that. The Bible says the sanctified wife sanctified the husband. So remember, your blessing leads to the blessings of others. These men, they're cursed, lead to the curse of their own kids. Now, this is important to note because remember, what these men were doing was planning the death of an innocent man. And what ended up happening, they and the kids got cursed. This is, I think, the problem where you have all these megachurch pastors and stuff. They're planning the hurt of righteous people. And they're not thinking that they themselves and their kids are going to be cursed and destroyed. They think it's just probably a spiritual battle, but they're wicked. And so when we see some of the things happening in and around our country, happening to some of these leaders and stuff like that, we have to understand God is not a respecter of person, and God will give it to them the way they want to give it to others. They want other people to treat like less than, they will be treated like less than. And we will live to see and to testify that God is the same God. He never changes. Daniel chapter 6 verse 25 says, Then King Darius wrote unto all people, nation, language that dwell on all the earth. Peace be multiplied to you, firstly, before we read the rest of it. Proverbs 22 verse 10 says, Cast out the scorner, and contention shall go out. Yea, strife and reproach shall cease. In our personal lives, with those we interact with, in our families, in our churches, in our workplaces, in our society, when people are like that, the only thing you can do is cast them out. When scorners are around, when people are evil and they're trying to do all kind of bad, when you leave them in power, when you leave them to live, they just cause trouble. They never stop causing trouble. When they get cast out, trouble cease because they bring the trouble. And I've seen that again in my personal life when I don't have certain people around me, in church, in work, in the society. When certain people fail, it's a good thing. When wicked people fall, it's a good thing because they cause so much trouble. And often God is very merciful to them because these men had an opportunity to repent. These men had an opportunity to pull back, but they continue with their evil, and God gave it to them in the way they deserve. The wisdom that we want to take, here the wisdom summarized by Darius. Daniel chapter 6, verse 26 through 28. I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom, men tremble and fear before the God of Daniel. For he is the living God, and steadfast forever, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. That's a lesson taken over from Babylon. And his dominion shall be even unto the end. He always will have rule. He deliver and rescue it, and he worketh signs and wonders in heaven and in earth. Who hath delivered Daniel from the power of the lions? We want that lesson to sink in, because as we see things happening, we see men are making plans. I can see the hand of God keep delivering these evil men, or deliver them or deliver evil upon them, or giving them their reward, God will turn and overturn, because God's promised us that until his people are sealed for the time of trouble, he will keep the winds from blowing. Daniel chapter 6 verse 28 says, so this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian. 2 more kings. Daniel lived out 4 kings. Very important. 2 in Babylon, 2, not outlived them, but live and experience 4 kings, 2 in Babylon, 2 in Media and Persia. So that's why you need to be faithful. That's why I need to be faithful. When we see all these things happening, we need to remember that God is still on the throne. God is a living God. God is very steadfast. God can deliver. God can work signs and wonders. God can destroy the plans of evildoers. And we need to stop, behold, and see the salvation of God. Job 28 verse 28 says, and unto man he said, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding. No matter what, as I say, don't tell me that the greatness of a nation is depend upon evil. That we must do evil and we must be cruel and mean to people to build a nation. That is not wisdom. Wisdom here is to fear God, and it's to depart from evil. That's wisdom, and that's understanding. And when we have that, God's going to bless us. I don't care if it's a nation, if it's an individual. You bring me an individual, you bring me a family. That's the same thing I would have to tell them, what Job says. To fear God and to depart from evil. What more? If I hear that, I know the nation is on the right path. If I hear a family say that, that's what we're going to do. We're going to fear God and depart from evil. They're on the right path. If an individual say, I'm going to fear God and depart from evil, they're on the right path. An obnoxious, rude, obstinate person, stiff-necked, that don't want to depart from evil, don't fear no God, pure curses in their life. And they'll never prosper. They're not prosper financially, they're not going to prosper health-wise, they're not going to prosper mentally, because this is true prosperity. Psalms 111 verse 10. Psalms 111 verse 10 says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. His praise endure forever. Beginning of wisdom and having good understanding. That's what it is. You're foolish if you think that you're going to build a nation on evil. You're going to build a family on evil. You're going to build your character, your personality on evil. Just simply foolish. Proverbs 1 verse 17. Proverbs 1 verse 17. Proverbs 1 verse 17 says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. Could they have gone to Daniel for wisdom and instruction? Yes. Could they have feared the Lord? Could they have served the Lord and learned the ways of Daniel? Yes. Could they have learned to be honest in business? Yes. Could they have learned to make sure the king suffered no loss? Could they be worried about building up the country and making the country prosper and do good? Yes, but they were just being eaten away by envy, eaten away by jealousy, and they did not build the country or themselves. We can see same here again. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. But fools despise wisdom and instruction. They don't want to be taught. And I've seen this over and over again. Whether it be in church ministry, pastoral ministry, you're dealing with individuals, they don't want to be instructed, they don't want to talk, they despise it, and they're stiff-necked, they're hard-headed, and what happened? They just get destroyed. They personally and their family. And so we don't want to be in this situation. We want to be in a situation where we're running with people who are saints. We don't run with lions. Lions will eat you. The true lions in this situation was the leading men in Medes and the Persian. And we don't want to be this. So I pray that God may bless us to this end, that we might keep our eyes open and say, I'm gleaning, pulling some lessons here, trying to make it as relevant as possible for you to be able to apply this to your everyday life. Remember, when we study prophecy, we're not just studying nations, we're studying how families, how individuals behave, and we see how individuals fall. These men fell, their families fell because they fail. Make sure that you're a man of integrity and honor. Make sure that you're a person that is taking care of, fearing the Lord, loving God, showing that example to your kids. Because I'm telling you, you fail as a man, you're taking out your whole family. So at this time, tomorrow we'll sing for us a closing hymn, and then as she sing, we will pray to close. I'll grab that. So stick with us here as we sing our closing hymn, and then we run in our wires here. All right. Okay, sir. You're seeing the inner working here. So we sing to close 538?
No, 309.
309? 309. I don't even know to select it. Okay. 309. You can tell I don't use this.
All to Jesus I surrender, all to Him I freely give. I will ever love and trust Him, in His presence daily live. I surrender all. I surrender all to be my blessed Savior. I surrender all to Jesus. I surrender humbly at His feet I bow. Worldly pleasures all forsaken, take me, Jesus, take me now. I surrender all. I surrender all to be my blessed Savior. I surrender all to Jesus. I surrender. Make me Savior, wholly thine. Let me feel the Holy Spirit. Truly know that Thou art mine. I surrender all. I surrender all to be my blessed Savior. I surrender all to Jesus. I surrender. Now I feel the sacred flame. Oh, the joy of full salvation. Glory, glory to His name. I surrender all. I surrender all to be my blessed Savior. I
All right, let us pray to close. Our Father, who art in heaven, we are thankful for the blessings of this day that you have given to us. And as we're coming close to the end of the Sabbath, I pray that you may bless us and be with us, that truly, dear Lord, we will not allow jealousy, envy to consume us and to distract us, dear Lord, from our focus of taking care of ourselves, taking care of our families, and being faithful to Thee. May we be faithful to everything that we do, dear Lord, and focus on our task in this life and not worry about others' success and others, dear Lord, and what they have and what we do not have. Bless us, dear Father, as we have soon to enter into a new week. May you bless all those who are online. May you truly give them that converting spirit, that they may humble themselves and take care of their own business and not be busybodies in other people's business. Be with us, we pray. May we be faithful to the task that we are given. and look to that and that only. Again, bless us for this upcoming week, and bless us, those who are going to be traveling with traveling mercy, those who are already on their way. May you be with us, dear Father, we pray for Christ's sake. Amen. God bless again, everyone. Looking forward to talking to you again next Sabbath, when we'll be doing Sabbath schools, starting afresh. But also remember, on December, I think it is August 25th and 26th. I could be wrong. I'm not looking at my calendar. But the last Sabbath and Sunday of August, we'll be doing our, we're kicking off our health series, where every month we'll be doing a health seminar, cooking demonstration. That Sabbath, we'll be doing Sabbath and Sunday with Brother Robin Swain coming up from Florida. He'll be doing health seminar, cooking demonstration on Sunday, Saturday. So Sunday for the health demonstration, Sabbath for the cooking, for the seminars. So just if you know somebody, you know, we'll be doing it, we'll be live streaming both Saturday and Sunday. So we'll be doing all health, and then going forward monthly, we'll be doing some health seminars, some cooking demonstrations on sometimes Sabbaths, but primarily on Sundays. So God bless again. Looking forward to talking to you next Sabbath. And if you want to communicate to us, you can communicate to us via our website or via our Facebook page, or via any of our group Facebook chat page. So keep those things in mind. Please connect with us both online and connect back up again with us on next Sabbath. God bless.
Good night.